Coming in at number 26 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings, the top goalie in this class from Prince George in the Western Hockey League, it's Josh Ravensbergen.
Yep. I think anyone that's been following along with the draft has heard Josh Ravensbergen's name as the top guy. I feel like it's the consensus that he will be the first goalie drafted. Where that's going to be remains to be seen, but it doesn't take a genius to look at a 6'5" goalie and think, okay, this guy could have a chance, as goaltenders are trending towards the taller side in today's game. And he was an absolute workhorse for the Prince George Cougars. 51 games played. That's the third most in the WHL. Goals against average of 3, save percentage of .901, a record 33-13-4. And then he was their guy in the playoffs. Unfortunately, didn't go their way, though, as he had a 3.6 goals against average and an .896 save percentage, going 2-4 overall. So maybe, Ross, not necessarily the sparkling numbers you would want from a goalie that's going to be drafted likely in the first round, but at the very least, the first goalie off the board. But Ross, there's one number that really sticks out to me here, and that's the big old 0 in shutouts. And it's not like this is a guy that was playing on a bad team. Like, Prince George made the playoffs. They were middle of the pack in their conference in the WHL. And I don't know, 0 shutouts where you're able to totally blank a team. Maybe that's just simple analytics from my simple brain, but that doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, it is a bit strange. There's no doubt about that. But you also look and like the numbers don't necessarily jump off the page either in terms of a .901 save percentage this season. But I think when you're looking at goalies in particular, it's what are they going to be in 6 to 8 years. So you're looking at his top attributes, which to me, watching his highlight reel, a lot of quick lateral movement saves going left to right, post to post, and then having the wherewithal after making a first save to be ready for the rebound shot. There were a few scramble plays where he looked poised, confident, and calm in the net. And then when you add that into the size, of course, you start seeing what elite prospects saw in him, which are shades of Ben Bishop, who Ottawa Senators fans, I was going to say know well, but maybe not well enough, because he just had a slight cup of coffee with the Senators. They got him in a pinch from the St. Louis Blues, and then ultimately moved him to Tampa, where he was a workhorse for a number of years. Josh Ravensbergen is a November birthday, so he was 18 for the better part of the entire year. He's a lefty goalie, which means he catches with his right hand, which is a more unique style for goaltenders. He is also ranked as high as number 18 from our scouts, with Corey Pronman. Elite prospects at 24. We got Bob McKenzie and Scott Wheeler at 28. Craig Button at 29. McKean's at 30. And Locked On NHL prospect Sebastian has him at 32, which to me further exemplifies that he will be a first-round pick in this draft. So I'm looking at teams that have multiple picks. Yep. I'm looking at teams that have drafted goalies before, but maybe don't have them as high in their system or at all, like the Nashville Predators. Could that be an option? They've got 2 picks towards the end of the first round, but I would like the Sens to stay away from a goalie, no matter who it is. We were there in 2021 where Wallstedt and Casa, those were options. They go still the wrong direction, but they'd go away from a goalie. I feel like if they were going to take one, that probably would have been the year to do it. I don't see a goalie being a fit this early in the draft for Ottawa. I always like, and I know you do too, taking a goalie somewhere in the draft, but I don't think with the way the Senators prospect pool is that a goalie should be on their radar in the first round.
Yeah, I've got my money on him going to Nashville or Columbus with one of their picks. I don't like drafting a goalie high unless it's kind of those generational guys of Wallstedt, Askarov, those maybe Spencer Knight. Those are the types of guys maybe you'd go for. I don't get that vibe from Ravensbergen here. I would be, even as a hashtag goalie friendly show, Ross, I would be very disappointed if the Ottawa Senators decided to go with him at 21. So I've got him at 2 stars out of 5. I'm not trying to pile on the kid. I think he's going to be a good goalie. Lots of scouts are interested in him. I think with time and development, he can pan out. But this is not the direction the Ottawa Senators should be going.
And even though Prince George did make the playoffs, like they were giving up a lot defensively. So it's not like the numbers are bad, but he was on an amazing team. I think it also speaks the fact that he did raise the quality of the team. They maybe wouldn't be a playoff team without him. But if a team does draft him, if you're watching this, your team just selected him, what are you getting in Josh Ravensbergen?
Well, the size, you got to start there with goaltending. If a lot of surface area makes it easier to stop pucks, and that's why Elite Prospect talks about it. His play reading makes him look not as impressive because he's not out of position to make those highlight reel diving saves. He's just going to be perfectly square. He's going to be ready. He's going to be good to go. He's really good at getting across for those slot chances. If you look at EP's draft guide, they have a little bar graph kind of with a bunch of different stats, and his cross slot goals saved above 30 here. I don't know what this stat is specifically, but it talks about chance types, and cross slot, he is very effective, whereas behind the net, not so much. And another weak spot they're talking about him is his 5-hole, which for tall goalies, that'll happen. What ends up happening is when you're getting set, your stick hovers a little bit above the ice, just the way you're setting it. And that, if you get some movement on him, the stick's not going to be fully planted on the ice and you could slip it under there. But overall, I think he's a decent goalie, and a team that needs to up their goalie prospects and has multiple picks makes a lot of sense to take him.
Yeah, that's for every 30 minutes. The stats that you're looking at there, usually it's per 60, but they decided to go here with per 30, and that's because they track 10 games with elite prospects in their draft guide. So this gives them a bit more runway to make that each minute count. His high danger save percentage was elite. So you're getting a goalie who's going to battle and make hard saves if you take Josh Ravensberg, who comes in with an average ranking of 27. He's 26th on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings. You can find all 50 of our profiles available on YouTube.